this afternoon I was having a conversation with a bunch of us, and we were talking about now and time and how, we perceive it in a linear series of moments. And then there was this conversation of, if you're Skyping with a friend in a different country, they've got their now and I've got mine now, but it's all the same now. I don't know if you wanted to talk about that at all, because it confused me a bit.
Now is the point at which time and eternity intersect. In other words, what is a moment in time, the now that is a moment in time for the separate self, is the same now that is for God eternity. Okay. So the separate self, which is a mind-made self, thinks of time as a line. Yes, time has a single dimension, unlike space, which has 3 dimensions. So time, it just has a single dimension that goes from the past. Nobody's quite sure when it started. We don't like to ask too much about that, but it started a long way over there. And again, we don't like to talk too much about when it's going to end, but luckily it ends so far away from now that we don't have to think about it. The 2 endpoints are conveniently kind of beyond acceptable conversation. So this is the line, and then we have this idea of now. It is a moment. This is the separate self's view of time, the mind-made self, the mind's view of time, and the now is a moment on that line, and moreover, it is slowly moving along that line. Yes? It started way over there, and at this point has been moving. Strangely, no one has ever been able to define exactly how long the now lasts. Yeah? Nor has anyone ever been able to define how quickly it's moving along the line of time. But again, these are questions that are, in polite society, are best not asked, lest we destroy the illusion of time. So now go to your experience. What is your experience of now? How long does now last? For instance, it's now, yes? How long is the now lasting? If you were to time it, if we were to start now, how long does it last? Yeah. And in your experience, how fast is the now moving through time? Just roughly, is it moving slowly or quickly? Or
It's stuck.
It's stuck. Exactly. It's stuck now. Yeah. Yeah. It's not going anywhere. No. Okay. So now let's look more closely at these 2 spaces either side of this stuck now. Go into let's look into I'm calling it a space, but it's a duration. Easier to talk of a space. Go into the space of the past, a duration called the past. Tell us about your experience of it.
Well, actually, what triggered it was this morning's meditation when you said to remember.
Hold on. Tell us about your experience of the past. Or in fact, try to experience the past now. Go there. Of course, to do that, you have to step out of the now. Yeah, so just step out of the now and go a couple of seconds into the past, so as to experience it. I don't mean think about the past. We can all think about the past, but when we think about the past, that thought always takes place now. Actually, try to experience the past. Can you?
No.
What about the future?
That's absurd. You can't.
It's absurd, exactly. Could anybody ever step out of the now and experience the past or the future? I mean, what would it take? How would one do it? How would one leave the now and experience this stuff, this space, this duration called the past?
I mean, Einstein
No,
used to
because
talk about...
even if you were Doctor Who and you were to travel into the past, whenever you experienced it, whatever you experienced there would always be experienced now. Even Doctor Who never managed to leave the now. There's no such thing as time travel. Nobody has ever traveled through time. The now is stuck. It's been stuck at the place where it started. In other words, the place all the way down there where it started and the place all the way down there where it's going to end is the same place. And that place is this stuck now. Yes, you could say that the cross symbolized this axis of time and the eternal now. So in other words, the now is not a moment in time. The now is, we might be tempted to say, always present. But if we say always present, it suggests that it is always present in time. But it's not always present. For the now, there is no always. It is not everlasting. It doesn't last in time. It is in another dimension. Hence the image of the cross. It is eternally now. This now has no duration. Only something that lasts in time can have duration. Yes, and to have duration, it must start at one point in time and it must end at another point in time. But the now doesn't do that. Does this now? Did it start at one moment and then last a bit and then end? No, the now is not in time. It has no duration. It's not that it lasts for a fraction of a second. It simply doesn't last. It has no duration. It is without dimension. That is what is called eternity. It is not in time, the eternal now.
I feel like I'm stuck with it.
You are. You're stuck with it now for the rest of your life. Join the club. You see, your life is not going anywhere. You're not going to die in the future. You weren't born in the past. You're not headed anywhere. Imagine now, think of how much of your thinking is subtly influenced by the belief that there is a vast space stretched out in front of you that you are going to slowly walk through. Most of our thinking is informed by that belief. Now, take away that space by seeing that it is simply not there. What does that do to your attention? When there is no option for it to move forward, because there's nothing for it to move forward into. And when there is no option for it to move backwards, because there's nothing for it to move back into, what happens to attention? Exactly. But remember what the word attention means. To stretch yourself towards. there's now nothing to stretch ourselves towards. So attention can no longer stand as attention. It, as you say, it falls back. It sinks into the now. It ceases to be attention and is revealed as consciousness without an object. Consciousness not directed towards an object. Consciousness knowing its own being. That is the eternal now. And it is the doorway that is always available to the apparently separate self, because the apparently separate self knows the now. If we were to ask any 7 billion of us, do you know what is meant by now? Everyone would say yes. I experience now. Now, thought superimposes a limit on the now and considers it a moment in time. But even that apparently limited now is itself a doorway to eternity. So if the separate self brings its attention back to the now, it, as it were, slips out of the mind. And as it does so, it ceases to be a separate self and is revealed as the true and only self of pure consciousness.
Thank you.
So the now is the point at which time passes into eternity. And the present moment, which is the same point, is the point at which eternity passes into time.